Hello, it's Jen Taub. Welcome back to Booked Up, a podcast that features you, me, and our favorite authors. We release a new episode every Sunday morning. Today, my guests are the hilarious, self-named, progressive hillbilly comedians Trae Crowder and Ryan Forrester. They are co-authors of Around Here and Over Yonder. I'm just going to steal their bios right from their book jacket because nothing I could say could compare. Trae Crowder grew up in Celina, Tennessee, a town sometimes described as having more liquor stores than traffic lights, 2-0 as of the last count. He first gained national attention for his liberal Redneck series of viral videos. That was back in 2016. He has been performing his particular brand of gravy-covered intellectual comedy for over a decade and touring nationally with Corey and their comedy and drinking partner, Drew. Ryan Forrester grew up in Chicakmunga, Georgia, where he fell in love with comedy watching Carson and then Leno from a blanket on the floor next to his daddy Dale. At 16, lying about his age, Corey worked up the nerve to do his first open mic. He also ran the family bakery with his mom, where he was known as the head Quiche Chef. This is Trae and Corey's second book, the first one they wrote with their aforementioned buddy Drew, who actually has a last name, although it's not on the jacket flap. It's Morgan, Drew Morgan. The book was called The Liberal Redneck Manifesto. Okay, let's dive in. Hey, guys.
Hello.
What's up? Well, it's a Thursday afternoon for me, and this is like my last day of the week. I don't teach on Fridays.
Nice.
And yeah, it's super nice. And I mean, I really wish I had a martini right now. You know, I don't know if you all drink in the morning where you are, but.
Yeah, I used to drink every morning, and I had to quit. So, yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Not really.
Wait, Corey, hold on. So I feel like I want you to say a few things so everyone can get used to your voice. So tell me about your drinking problem, Corey.
Okay, well, you know, here's the thing. I have one of those drinking problems where for years I was like, I don't have a drinking problem. It's just that. And then I realized, like, I've been saying that for like 7 years. You know what I mean? So it's like I was never a person that had to drink every day, but I find myself going on like I'll go months without drinking. But then when I start drinking, I like really drink for a while. And I just came off of this is funny. Me and my wife were talking. And I'd gained a little weight, and I was like, man, I've been eating fine. And I was like, I've been going on my walks. I was like, I have drank a little bit recently. And she's like, yeah, you've kind of been hitting it pretty hard. And I was like, well, it's only been for the past couple, how old's our son? And she goes, he's 6.5 months. You've been drinking for 6.5 months, right? So I've still been a very attentive father. And I don't go crazy. It's just that in the nature of our work, like we're doing a podcast every night. I'm trying to loosen up. And then it's like, I work every day. So I'm boozing every day. So yeah.
Can you just tell me where you are located so I can get DSS on speed dial over there or no?
Yeah, I'm in Chickamauga, Georgia.
Well, good luck with that.
If I could add something to Corey's explanation there, this is Trae. I don't know if people are just listening or whatever, but Corey's he's just a very bingy person in general. He's like real streaky. It's not just with drinking. He does it with food too. He'll be like, yeah, I'm in a pancake phase right now, where it's just like every meal is just like stacks of pancakes. So it's like he's self-destructive in multiple ways.
Yeah.
He's kind of a cartoon character of a person.
By the way, those two intersected for 2 weeks in the middle of this drinking thing where I was drinking every day and like literally eating at Cracker Barrel every day and eating pancakes. And that's where the weight, like 7 pounds in 1 week from both of those intersecting.
Corey got gout when he was 30 years old.
Gout?
No, I didn't when I was 27.
27?
I thought you could only I thought gout was for old men who ate like foie gras or something.
Yeah,
Oh, no, it was
Benjamin
28.
Franklin
It was the first year. It was the first year of our tour. And I literally ate and drank myself into gout. Yeah, the Ben Franklin disease, like while we were on the road. And it was pretty rough.
So I think everyone's got your voices down. And I figured it out listening to the book on Audible that Corey's voice is just a slightly higher range. And then Trae kind of, even though he might only be like a year older, kind of comes in with a little lower range of gravitas in there. Yeah, is that how you play
Depression.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah,
Trae sounds depressed, and I'm very anxious.
Laid back is how I prefer to term it. But yes, that's also true. But yeah, no, I think you nailed it. We never thought that we sounded at all alike until we started doing a podcast together years ago, and then like listened back to it, and we were like, dude, I can't tell us apart, right? But then but now, but I mean, you're right. The way you described it is pretty accurate. But we're more similar than we realized we were. We didn't know we sounded anything alike for years.
You don't really. I think it's just that when you're two people are narrating a book, it's just not entirely clear who might be speaking. And, there's that whole, like, you talk funny from the South, so you must all be the same person kind of
I think
kind
when
of
we're
vibe.
both drunk, we sound exactly alike. And early on in the podcast, we were both hammered the whole time. So I think that's where that's where it came from. Like, our drunk voice is pretty much exactly the same.
So I want to know, what were you doing? Hey, was that a coffee tray? What did you just take a drink of?
No, it's liquid IV. Not because I'm not hungover or nothing. I just really like those, which is not good because they're like $15 for 3 of them or something like that. They're very expensive.
Wait a second. What is that? What is it?
And they're Liquid IV. They sponsor a lot of podcasts and stuff, not ours, but it's like a powder you pour into
a bunch
water,
of vitamins.
and it's like vitamins and electrolytes. At least they say it is. It's like vitamins. It's like
it always helps
Pedialyte.
me.
Pedialyte for adults that you pour into water, mix it up, and then drink it. And
I have that. My friend Mary Trump told me about Drop or something. Is that the same kind of thing? Isn't she awesome?
She is awesome.
How do you know her?
Just me and her have just chatted back and forth on the internet a couple times. I was probably talking shit about her uncle, and she was like, "This is my kind of guy right here."
That's right. No, I've gotten so close with her. It's really weird because I know, of course I know who her uncle is, and of course she writes about that and stuff. But like every now and then I forget, and it becomes it's very weird. And maybe you have that kind of sense of dislocation, once you're, I'm putting it in quotes, so like once you're famous, or maybe you've always had this because you've been on the road for a long time. But did you feel like you reached a level of fame where people like stop you and know who you are and stuff like that? And that's kind of weird.
I don't get that. No,
you don't. Do you get that, Trae?
We do every now and then, but pretty infrequently. But it does happen to me, and it was weird when it first started happening. When it first started happening for me, I had gone like wildly viral. That was the thing that like sort of launched I'd been doing stand-up for 6 years. Me and Corey had been doing stuff, making stuff together before all that. But in 2016, I went crazy viral. And in the heat of all that, I was getting recognized like everywhere we went. Like we went to a music festival. There were like kids coming up to me and stuff, and I wanted to take pictures, whatever. And that was wild. And then like that faded. And now it's like, some mamaw at the Atlanta airport or something winks at me, I like your stuff, whatever, that type of thing. Like that sort,
That's nice.
I was going to bring that up. Like it does happen to me for sure, but it's never the way that you think it would be. Like it's never like, hot girls or young people. It's always usually a mamaw. It's often at the airport. And frankly, I usually wear like very flamboyant clothes and shoes. I'm just easy to pick out. You know what I mean? Like I'm a very recognizable person if you're into my whole thing. But yeah, it's usually a mamaw, or me and Trae have had this. Someone has come up to each of us while we're together and go, "Oh my God, my dad loves y'all."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really like something.
I got a better one than that. Like another comic. This was another comedian, a young comedian I did a show with in L.A. She was probably 21, 22. She's like pretty new to comedy. And she comes up to me like before the show. And she's like, "Oh, my God, I can't believe we're on the same show. When I was in high school, my mom used to play your videos all the time," or whatever. And this is like 4+ years ago or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm 33. I've been doing it professionally for 3 or 4 years. I'm like, Jesus Christ, don't say that. But then I thought about it, and it's like, if she's 21 or whatever, then that's probably accurate. But it made me feel, old and decrepit.
I just got off the phone with a kid not too long ago who he called me because his grandma, she asked me, she's like, "Hey, my grandson is doing this report on comedy for college." And I want to know if he could talk to you. And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he was talking about having listened to our podcast when he was like a freshman in high school or whatever. And like, but like, my parents. And I was just like, what? Like, I mean, I'll be 36 in December, which is not old at all. But like, I guess, the time just be flying and people that were in middle school are now graduating.
I know. It's like you're practically Mel Brooks right now or something.
Yeah, sure.
So
did you see my Mel Brooks DVD? Is that what brought that up?
No, I'm just thinking of an old guy. Wait, Mel Brooks is still alive, isn't he?
Of course he is, yes.
Yeah, it's Carl Reiner who died, right?
Yes, Carl unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, no, I did not see. Where's Mel Brooks?
There's a DVD collection.
Where's the picture I got you, Corey?
Oh, you know what? Let me see.
No
Hold on
kidding.
a second.
So it's funny that you would refer to Mel Brooks, because when I think about your work, I'm thinking Mark Twain. I keep thinking of him. Is he an influence on you at all, or?
Well, one of the coolest things anyone's ever said about me on the internet was Mel Brooks' son, Max Brooks, the author, which is how that happened. That's how that happened. Max Brooks.
Yeah, there we are.
Is like a fan of ours. We met Mel Brooks. When we met Mel Brooks, he came through the door.
30th birthday.
He came through the door singing, Is It True What They Say About Dixie, which is like old
really
Dino song. Right? He's like crooning it, singing it to us, or whatever. And, I mean, he was awesome. He was lovely. But anyway, I had that picture printed out, and I sent it to Corey for his birthday or for Christmas or whatever, and I put the caption on it, because it's meant to be hung in his house, right? So I put the caption on it, me with my two comedy icons, right? Because it's me and Mel Brooks. But anyway, but you asked about Mark Twain. Max Brooks shared one of my videos on Twitter or whatever and was like, this guy is the Mark Twain of our time, which is not at all true, but it's one of the best compliments
Well,
I've
I mean,
gotten.
Samuel Clemens maybe, but maybe not Mark Twain.
Sure.
Yeah, no. Don't, I mean, you can do all that, false modesty, but like, I just said, I mean, I love Mark Twain. And I think that the reason why I mentioned Mark Twain, I meant to do all the chit chat shit, like, where are you guys? But let's just go right to this part, because why I was thinking of Mark Twain is because of the political content, right? Like that it's there, but it's like this, you have this generosity of spirit around people. Like, I feel like you can judge ideas, and, some people are just complete dirt bags, like, Donald Trump or what have you. But like people, I just feel like, you get people and you're self-deprecating enough, and you take on some really hard topics, like, I don't know, gun control and some other stuff. And it just works. And, of course, him being from the South too. I don't know. I just had this revelation. So I'm glad that Max Brooks said that too. But let me go back to the, like, where you are.
He didn't say it about me, so you can now if you want to publicly.
Like, aren't you? No, you're the same person. So
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So Corey and Trae, I know Corey's in Georgia right now, right?
That's
right?
correct, yes.
And so you're the same time zone as me.
That's right. Eastern,
Trae,
the time zone.
Yeah, the only. And Trae, you out in LA right now?
Yeah, I'm in Burbank. Yeah, 3 hours
Trae just woke up.
What the fuck then? Why do you have this Clay County, Tennessee shit behind you as if?
I got to represent. I know. Well, I'm trying to be, I like to say I'm putting the bass in ambassador. It's taking a little bit of home with me, wherever I go is what I'm trying to do. I will never live in Clay County, Tennessee again, but, I'll represent it there.
Never say never.
No, if I'm ultimately penniless one day and utterly destitute, I can join the rest of my community in destitution in Clay County. But yeah, I'm in Burbank.
Is Clay County where the city or town of Celina is?
Celina, but yeah.
Celina, damn it. Okay.
Everybody always says Celina. I'm sure we are wrong, by the way. Like, I'm sure it's us who pronounce it wrong, but yeah, it's Celina.
Well, if you're from a place, that's the way it gets pronounced, as far as I know. So, okay, so I want to know a little bit. I mean, I know, but I want to kind of hear more, a little bit about your childhoods in terms of, like, when you were sentient. What was the point when you were like, and this applies to, I guess, Trae and not to Corey. When was the point when you're like, I've got to get the fuck out of here? Like, how old? Do you remember, like, the moment you're like, I got to go?
I don't remember the moment, mostly because I feel like it was always kind of the deal or the plan with me. So, like, my dad owned the video store in town. It was a converted single wide trailer called Crowder's Video, and he was real into art and movies and music and that type of thing. And so I'd always just wanted to do, when I was like real little, I wanted to do movies, whatever. And then later it became stand-up specifically. But like, I always dreamed of moving to California, literally my whole life. Now that I'm here and I'm like, it's not so great. But yeah, so I don't have a moment, because I just kind of always was like, and also it's a huge thing in a place like Celina. Corey's town might be a little bit different in this regard, but it's like, in a place like Celina, it's like that's every child's goal. It's you're either dying to get out or you are wanting to die there without ever going anywhere. It's just one of the two things. Like, you're either one of the people that's like, I'm staying here forever, I'm never going nowhere, I'm never seeing nothing, I'm never doing shit. Or you're one of the people who's like, I got to get the hell out of here as soon as I possibly can. And I was definitely the latter.
Yeah. Well, what I'm wondering then, I just want to talk about that video trailer store, Crowder's Video.
Yeah.
So was its big competition like the Blockbuster? Because by your age, it was VHS. There wasn't any Betamax, right?
Right. But we didn't have a Blockbuster. We don't have.
Why do you think Crowder's Video worked?
Yeah, right. Like, we don't have. That's how small Celina is. We don't have McDonald's or Walmarts or Blockbusters or none of that type of thing. We have dollar stores. We got like a Dollar General and a Family Dollar, so that's nice. Competition keeping prices down. But no, like, my dad, like, it was just us. And then he had the only video store. The only video store in town was Crowder's Video. And then a few years later, a couple other places started also renting movies, like a gas station convenience store. Like, we got movies too. So that happened. But like, we were the only like dedicated video store.
And now remind me, what was the big business in town that later shut down? Who was the corporation?
Oshkosh Bagosh, the most whimsically named corporation to ever ruin an entire community. Oshkosh Bagosh. They made overalls, cute little baby overalls.
Right, with little snaps in the bottom, so you could just
killed
change
us all with poverty. But
why did they move? They move offshore, or what the fuck?
Clintons.
They moved. NAFTA. I mean, that, like, I know that's sometimes like a boogeyman or whatever, but in the case of Celina and Oshkosh, I mean, that's literally what happened. They moved to Mexico after NAFTA, and it killed, it killed the town, and the town never, still to this day, has not recovered.
Oh, it makes me so angry. And before that happened, though, how did your father, I'm interested in money stuff. So, I'm curious, did he just,
he didn't have none, I don't think.
How do you buy the videos to rent out to people? Like, how'd that work?
I mean, the truth is, I was too young when that happened to really know. That's a good question.
I was about to say, I'm curious too.
Yeah, like, because I'm sure like I said, he was real into, he loved like David Bowie and David Lynch. He was that kind of guy, and like, I'm sure he just looked around and saw that like no one else in Celina had any of that, and VHS that'd become a thing. Movie rental stores become a thing.
Sure.
How he like figured out how to actually go about doing it.
That's pretty cool.
I don't know. It's a good question. But as far as the money he got, he probably got maybe some from his dad, my grandpa, who ran the car lot, which was like adjacent to his video store, or like from working at the factory, like most people did and saved up. I mean, I don't know. It probably didn't take that much. But.
And your uncle, your town was, in your town, your whole family ran every business, right? Didn't your uncle run some kind of place, a restaurant or something? Yeah,
we didn't, we didn't run every business, but my family was just a bunch of like small business owners. My dad had the video store. My grandpa had a car lot. My maternal grandmother had a country cafe, Cat's Cafe. And then my openly gay uncle and his partner on the other side of the town square had a deli, a hippy dippy sandwich shop. And they all did great, and all those businesses were doing great, and then the factory left, and they all died.
Before I ask Corey why he didn't flee his hometown, I want to ask you the movies. Like, what were the movies that you watched where you were like, "That's the kind of movie I want to make"? And these are I want to be an auteur or whatever.
Well, I mean, it depends on the age. One thing I've talked about a lot, I've realized, because I have sons, they're 10 and 11, right? So they're like pretty young. I've started showing them like Terminator, Aliens, Predator, stuff like that. But I thought, and when my wife is out of town or something, right? But like, I've thought recently, like, all that, my relationship with them made me think about how my dad was just showing me whatever. Like, me and Corey recently rewatched this TV show Oz on you know that show on HBO? It's about like prison rape and stuff.
It's crazy.
It's
almost
insane.
Exclusively the rape part too of
it's
prison.
Insane. he said he started watching it, and I was like, oh yeah. Me and my dad watched that when it was airing. Like when it was airing on HBO, we watched that together, and and that show was airing in the late night. So I was like 11, 12 years old. I was like the age of my son watching Oz.
It's brutal.
With my dad, and he was always like that. And like I probably saw Die Hard when I was 5 or 6 or something, and so he was always showing me R-rated movies and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I loved it. I'm not gonna lie. So the very first theater experience he ever took me on was Jurassic Park. I was 7. I'd never been to a movie theater.
Oh my God, that's pretty scary.
Holy shit, I'm just now realizing I saw that movie at 5. That's crazy.
I was dinosaur obsessed already. It's like a flashbulb memory. I remember every moment of it. My little sister came too. She fell asleep in the chair beside me, but I can remember sitting there and just being mesmerized by that movie. And then within a couple years after it come out, I'd memorized every word of the script or whatever. So when I was a kid, my favorite movie was definitely Jurassic Park. But I also loved like Wayne's World, like on the comedy side.
I love that. Oh my God.
Loved the Wayne's World movies. And then when I got into teenagerdom and became more pretentious and whatnot, like that's when I found Quentin Tarantino. I love the movie American Beauty. I love the movie Training Day, Antoine Fuqua's Training Day with Denzel Washington. Those were some of my favorite movies growing up.
I feel like with artists and stuff, we always like start with Spielberg and then get over Spielberg. We get like, up our own butt, and then ultimately we always go back to Spielberg. You know what I mean? Like Spielberg's that like when you're in your 20s and early 30s, you're like, no, Spielberg's great, but he's the commercial guy. And then you get older and you're like, Spielberg's the best.
But like Tarantino specifically, he was born in Knoxville. He moved to LA as a child. He grew up in LA, but all of his movies, or at least for a long time, all his movies, they always had a Tennessee reference in them. I knew he had grown up in Knoxville.
Oh, he's my guy.
And I'm saying, so he was a big one for me. I was like, this dude, I like really looked up to him a lot. And I mean, still do, but so he was pretty huge.
I want to get on balance and ask you stuff, Corey, but I want to stick with this movie thing because it's too interesting, which is like, I am so much older than you. So, if you can believe, you're supposed to act shocked after.
You look hot. I would totally not have guessed that.
I know. It's shocking.
I had to toe the line between like a sexual harassment charge and like you're not.
It's okay. No, if you don't say something nice about me, then we're just gonna like the signal's gonna die or something. No, I'm 56, so like I'm a lot older.
Get the fuck out of here.
That was good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
No, it's true. It's true. I didn't put tons of makeup on, but anyhow, no. So yeah, so what that means is when I was coming up and watching movies, like there were so many inappropriate movies we watched, and
because it was all PG, they didn't have the PG-13 rating.
No, right? they had the ratings, but it was like what I mean is like I loved the movie Heathers.
Heathers is great.
Right?
Christian Slater.
I love my dead gay son. Yeah.
But here's the trouble. Like I have one kid who's 23, one who's 16. And when my 23-year-old was like in middle school, I'm like, let's watch movies together because we always love to go to the movies and I wanted to rent stuff. And what was amazing is I was like, okay, let's just watch Heathers. And then you kind of forget when you watch a movie like that there have been a lot of school shootings.
Right. Yeah, right.
And after that, like that Heathers came out, spoiler alert, they want to kill everybody. Mm-hmm. And they do. Heathers comes out where, Winona Ryder feels like she's excluded from this clique and decides she and Christian Slater are going to actually kill the kids in the high school. And we thought it was hilarious because, when you're in high school.
Because that was such an absurd thought.
Well, also, all of us felt like outsiders, and we all were part of the trench coat mafia. I mean, I grew up in the Midwest, which is not the same thing as the South, I know, but it still feels like, I don't know, I can't, you just... If you're someone who feels like an outsider in your own community and you feel like, you read too many books or whatever, and you resent the popular kids, of course you're going to love a movie like that. So I start showing it to my kid and Emily was like freaked out. Mm-hmm. Like, why do you think this is an appropriate movie? And the same thing with like, just yesterday when I couldn't sleep, I was having insomnia and did you read this thing on the internet about how one of the best movies ever made, which is Zeffirelli's Romeo and Juliet? You know that movie?
You mean the one from the 90s with Leo or a different
No, the one from the 60s.
Oh, no.
It was this breakthrough movie. See, when we were in middle school, it came out like in 1968. So it had already been out before I was in middle school in the 80s. But it was really risque because the actress playing Romeo and Juliet, she was gorgeous and she was only 15. He was like 17. When there's some like semi-nude scenes or whatever, and some like they're in bed together, whatever. So it just comes out that like, you know, the parents didn't really consent to that and it was exploitative. And I'm like, damn it. Now
now I got to see it.
Right. Well, no. Now my movie's ruined. Plus, my favorite filmmaker, you guys, the reason why I wanted to come to New York was Woody Allen.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Midnight in Paris is one of my favorite
what's
movies.
up with him? How's he doing? He's still doing it? I haven't kept up with him.
Well, my friend Kathy, who's out there in LA, I can't talk about what people told me. But anyway, the point is, what an absolute mess he made of his life. And then, I'm kind of on team Mia Farrow, in part because I believe her, I believe victims, and also because Ronan Farrow, why would he lie? But it's just a disaster, and then you go back and try to see these movies, like, his movies, they're kind of like a love story for New York, where New York City is like the main character. And yet there's so much yuck in them.
Yeah. I mean,
it's complicated. I don't know. Am I still allowed to like the movies, you guys?
I think my thing on it is like, there was a breaking point, and it was me getting older and realizing like, hey, you should probably take these allegations seriously. This has been being said for a while, but like I was younger, and you would, when we were kids, like you heard shit about everyone in Hollywood, and you thought, well, everybody's despicable in Hollywood. This might not be true or whatever. But like I think now, lucky for us, his last couple movies hadn't really been that good, so it's easy to say.
Well, that's good,
because Midnight in Paris, like, and this
I
was
liked that.
It's one of my favorite movies ever, and I'm like, I still go back and watch. I mean, I own it. It's not like I'm giving him any more money, but like I'll go back and watch it. I'm like, well, luckily he's not in this one, so I can separate myself from that. But like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like OJ and Naked Gun still does it for me. I can separate the art from the artist.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I've decided.
But Annie Hall and stuff, any of the stuff with him actually in it is like way different,
Oh, really? So you wouldn't, even Hannah and her sisters, you wouldn't?
No, I mean, I'm just saying I think about it more. Like in Midnight in Paris, I'm just watching a movie and like, clearly
and he's not in it, right?
And Owen Wilson is clearly an avatar for Woody Allen, of course. But I mean, dude, like I went back and rewatched Usual Suspects the other day, and I'm sitting there going like, objectively, Kevin Spacey's crushing right now. But like, screw him. See, no more new stuff. But like,
Spacey's a good example because like, I got lucky with, in retrospect, with both Woody Allen and Bill Cosby, in that like they were both already kind of blind spots for me. Like I wasn't ever really that big of a fan of either of them, and which is odd in the comedy world. Like Bill Cosby, most people are like, listen, not cool, but you have to admit, right?
Yeah.
But I never. I just never really.
Yeah, I wasn't that
him.
into Cosby.
Same with Woody Allen, but Kevin Spacey though.
Yeah, that was rough.
He was, like, because I went back and rewatched some stuff recently that just happened to have Kevin Spacey. I didn't watch it. I forgot he was even in it. Like one of them was Margin Call, and I can't remember what the other one was.
He was in Margin Call? What character was he in
boss.
Margin Call?
He's like the boss guy who's going through a divorce, and his dog is dying while the economy is crumbling or whatever. And like,
right.
And then I watched that and some other movie that he popped up in, and then so I watched him on accident, but I was like, man.
He crushes.
God, damn, this guy's so good. Like,
dude, we had a conversation.
So good,
like, not long before all that shit happened. I remember in our text thread, like he had just gone on Jimmy Fallon. Like he would go on Jimmy Fallon all the time, and he would do the Wheel of Impressions. And like we shared one of them, and we like went on like for hours about how hard Kevin Spacey hit, about how like this guy's not even of this time. He's like a 60s and 70s performer, like he's got it all. And then like a month later, all this happened, and I agree with you because like I like Cosby and Woody Allen, but they were fine. They were like easier to let go. Kevin Spacey hurt because like
I just feel like
he took so much away from us.
I'm not going to excuse his behavior or take this moment right now to condemn it. And I'm not going there. I just want to talk about the performances, which is Usual Suspects. I mean, come on.
Unreal.
And House of Cards.
Oh,
as Frank Underwood. I mean, like, and what I'll also say is my hope is sort of, there are situations, I mean, there's just all kinds of degrees of stuff. I'm not proud of some of my behavior when I was in my 20s and 30s,
Yeah,
I mean, no, well, I'm not saying I sexually harassed anybody necessarily. I can think of a time when I was a little pushy. And I think, you may think, well, it's never a problem if a woman's coming on to a guy, right? You might think that, but I'm not so sure, and I think that, especially if it's a workplace thing, like I look at this and I say, now we all know. I'm not talking about people like Cosby who's drugging people and raping them. But I'm just saying there's a lot of bullshit when people have power and get high on their own supply, so to speak. And I just hope that, like, going forward, we don't have to hear these kinds of stories.
Yeah, for
anymore.
sure. I mean, I think, hopefully in, 20, 30 years, these are like, this doesn't happen as often because dudes grow, like the new crop of dudes is growing up for the first time seeing men face consequences for actions. Whereas, like, we never saw that. Like, my generation never once saw a man get in trouble for doing, quote unquote, just being one of the boys or just boys will be boys type stuff. Like, we never. And so, like, I'm with you. Like, I look back on some of my actions when I was in my 20s. And again, none of it is any of this. But you go, oh, maybe I was a little, I said some things that I, probably. But luckily, my kid will only know a world where you can't do that. I hope.
Or if you mess up, you just say you're sorry.
Exactly. Nobody can do that anymore. Nobody can say, everyone. It's so funny how many of these celebrity scandals could have been solved with, oh, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know I couldn't do that. But instead, they're just like, okay, you know what? Not only am I not sorry, I'm changing political parties now.
Speaking of this, what do you think of, I guess he's sort of a comedian, this whole Russell Brand situation?
Not shocked.
Well, I mean, like Corey just said, both things Corey just said. I'm not shocked either. But also the thing about, like, I didn't think this. Our friend Drew and I saw other people on the internet point this out, but, like, it kind of retroactively makes his, like, hard right pivot make a lot more sense. His recently, like, he like pivoted hard to. He was like weird, like, into conspiracy.
He was always
stuff.
libertarianish.
Yeah, right. But, like, recently he's like pivoted hard to the right, and you just see that and you're like, oh, well, that's because there's a lot of money to be made there. It's a great grift or whatever. But then these allegations come out, and it's like, oh, also he was courting the people that he knew wouldn't give a shit about something like this. Like, you know what I mean?
He knew
like,
it might come out, yeah.
Yeah, right. And if it came out, he's cultivated this fan base, he knows they'll just be like, like Browns fans with Deshaun Watson jerseys or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we know they're all full of shit, buddy. You keep doing you. Keep speaking the truth, and it won't hurt him at all.
So, okay, just quick, get this out of the way. You are in Georgia, Corey, and you have never left there except for the 5 years you went on the road with Trae. Is that my understanding?
I lived in New York for a year, and I did want to comment on that earlier because you were sort of letting me off the hook. It was kind of making it sound like, oh, but Corey, Trae wanted to leave his hometown, but Corey never did. Not true at all. I can't believe that I'm still here. It's amazing. Like, no, I was a very young age. It was never the plan for me to live here, like never once, because I knew at 5 years old that I wanted to do comedy. Hey, little buddy. Oh, my God. What's his name? Her name? His or her name?
His name is Ponzu. Like, here's the joke. I thought it was named, well, it was supposed to be the sauce, but the joke's on me because I teach white-collar crime. My kids call him Ponzu Scheme.
Ponzi Scheme.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, you're fine. But I would never, in any of my visions of how my life worked out, I was never here. And even up until, like, 4 years ago, like right before the pandemic, like me and my wife, we got married, and like we would be talking about stuff and she's like, yeah, this house. I was like, well, we're not going to be living around here that much longer. Because the whole thing was like, our careers were really going somewhere, and we had all, show deals with ABC or whatever. And I was like, look, I'm just basically waiting on this opportunity. And like, eventually we're going to be in California. Like, that's going to happen. Because I was like, I can't be, and I at the time, I probably did harbor a little resentment from my hometown that I have since grown up and decided is just all on me. But I was like, no. And then the pandemic happened. And like right before the pandemic, my wife convinced me, her and my mom conspired to show me this house that I'm currently in when I was drunk getting off a plane coming back from LA. They were like, let's go check out this house. And I'm hammered drunk. And I get there and I was like, why are we looking at this house? She's like, oh, no reason. Just we thought it'd be. And the realtor's there and it's one of my friends. And Amber's like, I really do like the house. And I'm almost blackout drunk and I'd probably taken a Xanax too. So I just was like, cool, get it. I put in an offer. Next morning, woke up, my real estate friend called me. me. She's like, hey, I guess they were really trying to get rid of that house because they accepted it. And I was like, what now? And so we get this house, and Amber was like, it doesn't mean we can't move. It just, this would be like an investment. You know what I mean? It'd be like a nice investment.
True.
And then, but then the pandemic happened, and I was like, my God, the timing couldn't have been better. Because like if we'd have moved out to California, I'd have been miserable. And then the whole time during the pandemic, we learned how to do things remote, and everything in entertainment kind of changed. And so by the time and I say we're on the other side of it, like in entertainment wise, we are on the other side of it. But like now my niece is, one of the loves of my life. She's right down the road, and I just had a baby. And so now I'm just like, well, I guess I ultimately ended up never leaving my hometown. You know what I mean?
You're like Jimmy Stewart in, This Wonderful Life.
Yeah, of course.
So I actually invited you on the show to talk about your amazing new book, which has a very long name.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say round here and over yonder, etc.
That'll work. Thank you. That's actually what I do too. Like when if I plug it on the show, I just call it round here and over yonder. Not to throw anybody under the bus here, but we've written 2 books, and we found publishers apparently love long-ass titles for some reason. Or at least that's been our
I don't even know what
it.
the second title is. I mean, I know all the words. I don't know
Front
them in
Porch
order.
Travel Guide by 2 Progressive Hillbillies. Yes, that's a thing.
All right, I knew all the words. I just didn't know what.
It's truly egregious, dude.
It feels like a tagline. I decided I'm treating it as a tagline, not the subtitle.
Yeah.
Yeah, the publishers love those long things because they want it to come up in search or something. I don't know.
Guess. And we're it's funny because we are very verbose, but like I'm pretty sure that our title pitch was just round here and over yonder, and then it was like, no,
definitely
more words.
Was.
Yeah.
Definitely
I love your explanation of like round here is going to be the South, over yonder is everywhere else in the U.S., right? And yonder is England? Is that
England
the
and
idea?
Scotland,
England and Scotland, yeah.
I have to tell you, I laughed out loud so many times.
Well, thank you.
I like in part it is, and I'm walking around like a crazy woman because I've got the earbuds in, and I've got a lot of hair, so you can't tell.
Right.
In fact, my family can't tell if I'm listening to them. That's how I get along really well with my husband now. I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, are your earbuds in?
Do they ever see them in? Like they see that you have them in, and for some reason they just decide, oh, I bet she would rather take those out and hear what I'm saying, because that happens to me a lot, and I don't understand why people don't know that this means I don't care what y'all got going on.
I mean, people don't always see it with me.
Yeah, you got the hair. I don't have that problem or that luxury.
I sometimes when I walk my dog around the neighborhood, I leave them in just in case I want to listen to something instead of scroll through Twitter or what have you. But that's convenient in case there's someone I don't want to talk to. And I can just, what I do now is I just point to the earbuds.
Sorry, I'm sure.
But it could be a conference call. It could be work. It could be anything I'm listening to. I'm also kind of like, I don't know if you all this, I bet you guys are, even though you're social, right? You go out and you like to meet people. I'm extremely introverted.
Oh, I'm an introvert all the way.
Me too.
100%.
Me too.
Right? What is that? So like why? But I like these one-on-one things. But when I'm doing like, what is that? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, Corey knows, like, I'm not just like an introvert. I'm also socially awkward. Corey's like, he says he's an introvert, but Corey like can get along with anybody immediately. Yeah. He's great at small talk and stuff like that. But like, I don't at all. Like, I don't know how to conduct myself. Like something about being on, like you said, on a podcast or whatever. And I think it's because it's like in my head, it's a different gear because I'm like, well, this is part of my job. You know what I mean? Sure. Like as a performer, I walk on stage and I flip a switch and I'm performing. And anything where I'm doing that, like I got to make an appearance on anything, a podcast, whatever, I can kind of go into that mode. But if I'm just living my life, if I'm just regular Trae, I always click the do not talk to me option on Uber. I don't want to be acknowledged in my existence by any other human out in the world because I'm terrified of having to interact with them, you know, that type of thing. Like I'm extremely introverted.
When you see me interacting with people it's always in the context of a work thing. It's either at a show, you know what I mean, or in a meeting or something. Like, dog, I haven't left my house except to go to the park to walk in like 4 months. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hang out. Like, my friends all thought, oh, he's going to live at home. We'll see him all the time. No, we're just closer and don't see each other.
You're not going to believe this. So like, and I'm this way too. Like, first of all, if I go to a party, I'm the person who sits at the very far edge and will only talk to like one person, or people kind of come they'll come sit next to me and talk to me. I'm not going to get up. But literally, like, you know, during COVID, like from 2020 to 2022, when no one went anywhere, Like literally the first time I did anything was to fly overseas. No, I flew to the Caribbean. I went to the Cayman Islands to research tax evasion all by myself.
Nice.
It was the best vacation
The
in the
first thing
fucking
I
world.
did post-pandemic was go to England and Scotland with Trae for this book.
When were you guys, because were you there during the Jubilee?
Yep.
When were you there?
We were there during the Jubilee.
I was there.
Well, we were there. We were there in the run up to it, right, Corey?
Yeah,
They were getting ready for it.
It was like the pre shit.
They were getting ready for it. We left right before it actually happened.
We were there at 1 p.m. on Super Bowl Sunday.
It was May of 2022.
Yeah, I showed up right in the middle of it, and then got sort of sidetracked into something. But I went there. I also went to that. I don't think you guys get to the Channel Islands. That's a whole other thing. Jersey and stuff. Okay. So I want to talk about, let me get to some of because the book is just hilarious, and I think people should, you can buy the buy the hardcover, or you can buy the Audible or be like me and do both. But the thing about the Audible, my God, it's such a treat, because you'll end up doing what I do, which is you'll start talking like a Southerner. You'll be all y'all and stuff. But it's hilarious, and it's your intonations about the stories you're telling crack me up. And it's I'm wondering, I guess there's so much I could ask you about before I read something from it, but it feels like the book has a lot of layers. On the surface, you've been to a lot of places, and you kind of want to talk about them in each place that, whether it's a city or something else that you go to, or a town, you kind of start out with the same format, where you're what their motto should be, and you say something funny, what to pack, what to eat and drink and wear, and what not to miss. And then you kind of talk about your experiences there over the years, it seems like. But at another level, you're also kind of trying to dispel certain stereotypes. You're trying to deal with social issues, which is to say, how did you do this? Would you write one layer at a time and then add that next layer? Or how did you decide? Is it just really let me just, maybe I'll pull this out as an easier way. The gun control conversation in England, things like that just warmed my heart. So tell me how you did the political stuff, or why, and so on.
With that, that just happened, and it was this is going in. You know what I mean? I would say.
Can you tell me about that? Remind me of what went down there.
Yeah, so I'm in Stratford-upon-Avon at the Garrick Inn, which is a bar that predates Shakespeare by 200 years. And Trae was FaceTiming with his family, so I'd gone out by myself, and I'm in this pub. I'm drinking. I'm I'm gonna work up the courage to talk to some locals. Hopefully I'm by myself, and then this big group of it was a big group of people, and it was half of them were tech bro-y looking, and the other half of it, they were the two types of Republicans. The one that's the tech bros, and then the other side looked like the Trump people, the more blue collar, kind of Green Street hooligan soccer fan type old men, Yeah. And I hear, and I'm okay, this is going to be good. And so they start talking to me, and from everything I'm gathering, I'm these are what we would call conservatives, which over there I believe is Tory or something like that. And so they start talking to me about America and all this. And look, I have my beliefs there, but I, as Trae said, I can get along with anybody. I grew I know how to talk to people even if we don't think the same. And then the subject of the Queen got brought up. That's what really cemented it to me, because we were talking about the Jubilee, and I don't know if I would consider them hardcore monarchists, but they were definitely pro-Queen. And I interpreted that as anybody who is pro-Queen is definitely a conservative. Over here, if someone's a monarchist, they're a conservative. And then they brought the guys all right, I'll go ask you the elephant in the room, because nice. Oh, I love that. I hate to laugh right going into this, but the Uvalde, is that how it was pronounced?
Yeah,
The shooting
Shooter.
had happened 2 days before. And so they brought up guns in America, and I'm fully expecting these people to be that's the only thing y'all have got right is the guns, but I was I'm not going to be a coward. I'm going to tell them. I was well, here's how I feel. And I know they weren't expecting this, but I said, listen, I come from the South. We have a big hunting culture. I am absolutely all for people having a shotgun to hunt with and being safe with a hunting rifle, as long as there's extensive background. You do this and you're out, being safe, having them locked away. And I'm expecting them to, call me a wimp or something. And they go, yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy how wild y'all are about guns. Like, you're the only country where that happens. And I was like, oh, thank God. But then I was sitting there and I go, oh, wow. Over here, you can be a conservative with common sense. And we've lost that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
I will say, I wonder if it's entirely that versus it's more just about guns specifically. And what I mean is, like, America is just straight up gun crazy. Like,
right.
It's wild. Like, no other country is like that. So in any other country, conservatives are not hardcore pro-gun because, like, they don't have the gun culture like we do. And
right.
then on the other side, like, there's plenty of, like, liberals in America who, like, dig guns. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
true.
Like, they still are in favor of gun control and want everybody to stop killing each other and stuff. But, like, a lot of liberal gun owners in America.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like we're just insane when it comes to guns in general. Like, it's really permeated the culture. You know what I mean? And they don't have that with their conservatism, because how would they?
Right. And to answer your question that led into that, like, how did we handle the writing of that? That's just who we can't help it. We made a conscious effort to, like, this book is going to be heavy funny, like pro-fun, like mostly funny. Whereas the Liberal Redneck Manifesto was definitely funny, but we were also trying to get a bunch of points across. With this book, we were like, we want this to be fun and funny, but it's impossible for us to be ourselves without some of that leaking through, because we both always want to be our authentic selves, and that's just who we are,
And all the people, I mean, you beat some characters, and I just love your sense of, like, when you get to a bar, you run into someone, you can just tell if they're going to be hilarious or fun to talk to or not. Are those all individuals that you remember, or any of them kind of composites?
I mean, I think anybody that I ever brought up was, like, an actual person that I did meet. I mean, I've done that kind of thing before. You're talking about in writing scripts or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
You kind of combine 3 of my redneck buddies into one redneck character or whatever, and I don't feel like that's dishonest or anything to do that. But in thinking about this and recollecting, I'm pretty sure these are all just actual people, I think, for me anyway.
Let me tell you just for how hilarious I think your book is. There are times when I laughed at the same level I did it. What was the name of the last Borat movie?
Oh, Borat.
Subsequent movie film for purpose of something of Kazakhstan.
Yes, I mean, there was hilarious. Yeah. And I think there's only possibly, like, I laughed the same level listening and reading your book as I did that Sacha Baron Cohen movie.
Wow.
But I have to say, wait, there's only one thing in that movie that I have laughed harder than in my lifetime ever, which was that fertility dance scene.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I was going to die. Like, and in fact, and I just thought, and my daughter, Emily, the same one who I shouldn't have shown, who did not want to watch Heathers. I told her the movie was hilarious and she had to watch it, but I should have warned her not to watch it with a bunch of guys, because she had to, like, literally leave the room. She could not handle it. But I just feel like you nailed every place in the U.S. I mean, there's some things I didn't know, obviously.
Yeah.
And I learn about it. But, like, I went to, the places I know, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. And so let me just read this one thing. I love this for Seattle. What their motto should be. We're real smart, but also, like, sad, So it's cool. It's so fucking crazy. And I can't find it. I tried to go back. There was some waitress I feel like you met in England or Scotland who tried to put on... Yeah, Inverness, and tried to put on an American accent.
Yeah.
What page is that on? Do you know where that is?
Motherfuckers. Yeah.
Yeah, Trae, tell that story.
I think, she was like...
Oh, my God, you got to tell that story.
So first of all, we went to England first, and we were telling all these English people we were going to Scotland after, and they kept saying some version of, like, oh, we think you'll find a certain kinship with the Scots, and we get, like, defensive about that. We're like, wow, because they're dumb, too? Is that what you're saying? You can't understand them when they talk? They pork sheep? Why are you saying that, But then we got to Scotland and immediately found a certain kinship with the Scots, like right off the bat.
I love Scottish people.
Yeah, we got along with them great. They, like, they loved our accent most. They wanted to immediately tell us jokes, share jokes. And also, I'm biased, but I do think that those are two of the best joke-telling accents on earth, the Southern accent and the Scottish accent. And so we get into some joke-offs and bars and stuff. But one time we were sitting there eating dinner at a pub in Scotland, me and him talking loudly like we do. And this little fire-headed Scottish lassie was coming back from the bathroom and overhears our voice. And she just lights up immediately, you know, and she's like, you fucking Yanks, you know, and we were like, well, we are Americans, but we're from the American South, so Yank is not the preferred nomenclature. And she's like, you're fucking Yanks. And we're like, yeah, we're Yanks. You're right. Sorry. And she was like, hey, check this out. How do you like this? Listen to this. Here we go. Giddy up, motherfuckers. It's like, straight just like you. Do it just like in the fucking movies, you know. And then she like drags us over to her table with her friends and just makes us talk and stuff. And I mean, you know, it was great.
Yeah, I've never been more attracted to a woman that I couldn't have anything to do with either.
Can I just say, you know, it would be amazing. And I don't know if you don't need to make money or raise money for like a fundraiser, but you know how like NPR and these other people have cruises and stuff?
I didn't know NPR had a cruise.
Well, maybe not NPR. Oh, the Nation does. The Nation has a cruise.
Saddest cruise on.
No, the Nation actually has a cruise. I swear to you.
Okay.
But anyway, you could not a cruise because that would be like a death sentence. I'm really against cruises.
I hate cruises.
I hate them even before there was COVID.
Yeah.
Everything about it. I don't want to be floating around in a big hotel that I can't get out of and they just keep feeding me.
Right.
It just seems like, and not food that you can choose. Like I want to, like you guys, go discover someplace. I don't want to have it be like on a buffet table. But you guys could sell tickets to like, I don't know how many people could travel with you, but like I'd pay to go on a vacation where you guys just like bar hop and talk funny.
That'd be awesome. If we could, you know, as we said, we are kind of introverted people. However, if we could charge a premium to just take people across the world and then all our expenses are paid and all we have to do is get drunk and have them view us getting drunk. Oh, man,
so
that'd be awesome.
I feel like I have to. So this is where I need to pivot to the substances. If you're laughing, I'm not. This is not an intervention or anything, but I feel like talking about alcohol is important. It's complicated, other substances and so on. And like, you know, I like my vodka, my dirty vodka martinis, you know, quite a bit. But I'm more of a like drink once a week kind of person. And for a while I didn't drink at all because I felt this incredible guilt because I had friends and family members who were sober. And anyhow, it is sober because they need to be, right? Because they're real addicts.
Right, yeah.
And so I would never, even when I would drink, I would try not to ever tweet about it or talk about it. And then at some point I thought, you know, I don't want to be that way. You know, I'm not ashamed of you know, imbibing, and I don't have a problem with it, but I still have a kind of level of guilt. And I wonder about you all, you know, recognizing. I'm not trying to depress you with this.
No,
but
it's fine. I was already depressed.
You know, but like, how do we as adults in the world, having fun in the world with, you know, substances like legal ones, let's just say for now. I mean, everything is almost legal in Massachusetts, but like, what do you feel? I don't know. Are you like? Do you ever feel kind of bad? Like, do you have any friends who are active alcoholics? You know,
where I'm from, I constantly like that. We have friends that unfortunately they're not kind of in our friend group as much anymore because, like, you know, on Saturdays everybody gets together and watches football and drinks, and like that group is not going to stop drinking during football just because these three people can't come, but they can't come to that. And like, we feel bad, and like all of us try to make special time to hang out with them outside of it. But like, yeah, I'm cognizant of that all the time. Cause like, and then you'll see the saddest thing is like, when one of those people that you know shouldn't be drinking does decide to come to the party, and then you all sit there and you're like, do I say something? Do you say something? It's like, and you go, no, I mean, it's on them. But then you just watch them. You're like, tomorrow begins the cycle of their life unraveling in front of them.
Yeah.
But you know, and I mentioned earlier about me and booze, like I said, I don't have a chemical problem or anything. I'm just a streaky, bingey type person. But like, I've got people in my life that like, and I'm thankful, just like you. I'm like, God dang, I'm so glad that I'm someone that can, because I'm on pills right now. I just have my teeth worked on, so it's fine. But you know what I mean? Here's where I'm at with pills. I only have a couple of them in this bottle. and I'm not going to take any more once they're gone, but I'm already dreading the bottle being empty because I've really enjoyed being on pills. But I got some buddies, I love it, but I got some buddies that like, I can't even tell them that I just went to the dentist or I'm serious, they might rob me. You know what I mean? Like they might come over here and rob me.
How can you help them? Is there no, I guess there's no.
You got to want to help yourself, I can say that.
So that's what I was about to say. Like, so my mom's an addict. I've lost multiple family members to opioid addiction, like close ones. One of my best friend on earth has, problems with alcoholism or whatever. So I've been around it a lot. The main thing that I learned, which it's like, it is both true, but it also is like, it's very easy to shirk any kind of familial or friendly responsibility by saying this, but it is true that you can't like help a person that don't want to help themselves. Like that's 100%
Absolutely.
a fact. Like they have
That's 100% true.
It's up to that person ultimately to determine it or not. Having said that, like my best friend, he was really going through a time with it, and then he had stopped. He wasn't drinking for a while. I was coming home for my yearly summer trip with our families and everything. I always rented a houseboat. We all go out on a houseboat together with our kids, not just me and him and our kids, our other buddies and all our kids. And me and the other guys talked before the trip happened. We're like, he's sober right now, but we're going on the goddamn lake on a houseboat like we do every year. It's like, and we all decided we were like, well, we'll drink. We're not going to get crazy. No one's going to offer him one. We're not going to make it weird, but like, we're not going to not drink just because he's there or whatever. This whole trip was my idea. I booked the boat, whatnot. We get out there. He drinks, he relapses on the thing, and then has trouble again after that. And I felt, extremely bad about that. He's thankfully doing better now.
Okay.
But I still do ultimately believe like, the person has to want to help themselves. And also, like, I'm not.
He didn't have to come. He didn't have to go on that trip.
But I mean, I wanted him to come. We all wanted him to come. We didn't want him to relapse, but we wanted him to come. But like,
and it's a tough situation because
I understand.
But I'm also like one of the more like libertarian-y type things, and I'm not libertarian really at all. But like, I'm a pretty big believer in like personal responsibility and whatnot. You know what I mean? So like, people that. Like, I know this is so stupid. I know this is stupid, but still, I'm going to say it. I live in California. They just made it illegal to have flavored vape juices out here, right? Because teenagers get hooked on them, right? I'm a 37-year-old man who started smoking cigarettes when I was 16. I switched to vaping like 5 or 6 years ago. I like the fruity stuff. I'm a fruity kind of guy, right? Now I can't get it because teenagers might smoke it. I hate that.
What's the Mark Twain quote?
I can't stand that, right? So like, you can't tell a grown man he can't enjoy a steak because a baby child is unable to chew it. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. And with alcohol,
I believe that kind of thing.
Me too.
Especially with smoking, vaping is such a better alternative. I smoked for a year, not surprisingly,
also,
right?
Like
introvert writer, smoker.
The teenagers are going to fucking smoke the mint flavored one, like just you know what I mean. But like, no, I'm with alcoholism and like I can relate it to like depression. Because I just recently 2 years ago, started going to therapy and started taking medication for my severe depression, right? And looking back, everyone in the world was trying to get me to go get help, blah, 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 blah. But until I decided I need to do this, that's when I started actually getting help, and it started sticking with me because I see like I've got friends and stuff that they're super depressed, and I try to talk to them, but at a certain point, even I go, I've done everything that I can. Like I've done the only thing with addicts and alcoholics, the only thing you can do is like hear them, understand them, be a friend to them, but like at a certain, like you literally aren't going to be able to do something unless you go, all right, I'm fucked up. You know what I mean?
For the record, too, at least with my best friend, I know with him, at least, like he absolutely did not want all of us to abstain from drinking on a boat trip because he was there. Like that was going to make him feel bad if we'd have done that, you know.
And he's doing better now, too. And now that I've depressed everybody, let's pivot to something else about overindulging, which is food. I loved all the stories of the food you ate. And as we wrap things up, I just want to say I'm really frustrated because you said in the book, the only thing, I wasn't like fact checking y'all, but you said like every state has a pie. And I come to find out Michigan, where I grew up, has nothing, has no foods whatsoever, not anything.
Really?
I know we invented the coney dog, which I don't understand.
Detroit style pizza.
Yeah.
Well, yes, we have it, but it's not an official thing.
Right.
Like Buddy's Pizza. I don't love that.
That's
I
good
like
for
bumpy
y'all,
cake.
really,
Yeah.
because a lot of the other states have gotten way out of hand with the official blank of this state. Tennessee tried to make the official state book the Holy Bible once. So,
for Christ's sake. I mean, yes.
You guys are... I wouldn't feel too bad about that.
Well, I'm not even from Michigan anymore, right? Like I'm in Massachusetts now, which is like not the same as Michigan. So they have some, they've got Boston cream pie, but no one even eats Boston cream pie, I don't think.
I had a Boston cream pie 2 days ago.
And was it good?
Hell yeah, it was good. Are you kidding me?
Well, can I tell you my the best food? I think you would agree. The best pie is Key West. In Key West, getting the key lime pie.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, key lime pie.
I literally brought 2 frozen key lime pies through the airport all the way home here once, like through the metal detector.
You want me to change your life?
Yes.
Do you know, low key, what the best key lime pie, unless you're literally in Key West, the best key lime pie you can get is at
what?
Publix. The Publix brand key lime pie, just in their refrigerator. It is flames.
We don't have Publix in Massachusetts.
Oh, man. Well, never mind. In the center, it's so great because it looks like a little lime, and a lot of people think it's just a little wax thing. It's actually white chocolate, but I've not told any of these people that it is because I always get to eat it, and they think I'm just taking the
think you're
plastics
just
away.
eating wax.
Yeah,
that boy's been eating wax since kindergarten. Let him have it.
This is so funny. Okay, so I got a couple things to ask, which is where are you? Are you doing a tour for the book, and how can people find where you're going to be next? Or are you just going to hole up and just Zoom the tour?
I mean, I'm doing, so like Corey said, he has a baby. I'm doing solo show. We're both stand-up. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm on a stand-up tour right now. And, it's somewhat, it's kind of like in support of the book or whatever, but there's not a separate, like, explicit book tour. But I am on the road and I'm out there, and you can bring your books. I'll sign them, whatnot. We're trying to get them set up to sell them at the shows and whatnot with local sellers and that type of thing. So you can find that at TraeCrowder.com, TRAE Crowder.com. There's also a link to the book on TraeCrowder.com, by the way, so one-stop shopping.
I have an idea that I did with my books you might consider. If you want to support, this might be great for Corey, especially if you want to support a local bookstore. When people ask you, can you sign my book? I say, call my local bookstore, order the book, and they'll mail it to you.
There you go.
And I sign it that way.
Yeah, I'd love to do that because, I'm not touring right now. I'm staying at home and raising the baby and just working on my audio dramedies and stuff.
What is your local bookstore there then? In Chicakmunga, Georgia?
Chickamauga. It's funny. We actually did just get one like 2 weeks ago, but I can't remember. It won't be there long, unfortunately. I love them, but like the only thing that works in this town is Mexican restaurants and barbecue joints. Like that's it. So I don't even really know the name of it. Unfortunately, we just always have to go to the Barnes and Noble in Chattanooga.
Well, I can put it in the show notes.
Do that. Yeah, I'll figure it out.
Okay. And I'm sorry if I send people to that local bookstore and they like call you up on the phone and say, we've got 20 books for you to sign, Corey.
It's literally, I can walk to it. It's totally fine.
And what didn't I guess I didn't ask you enough about the book. I've got so much, but what of all the places that you went, and I know you felt this kinship with Scotland, which also blew my mind. Were you bullshitting about Pangea connecting?
That's crazy.
Well, no, I mean, we didn't know that either. We had a guide who told us that, but yeah.
So tell everybody, because I can't believe this.
First of all, when we first went to the Scottish Highlands, we were on a train. It was like a 4-hour train ride up north in the Scottish Highlands. I fell asleep on the train. I woke up as we're getting into the Scottish Highlands, right? So I fell asleep, not in the Highlands, woke up going into the Highlands. And I looked around, and I swear to God, it looked exactly to me like East Tennessee does, like Appalachia, right, which is where I lived for years. It almost brought a tear to my eye, genuinely. I was like, this looks exactly like home. This is beautiful, whatever. And then we had a tour while we were up there, and the tour guide who knew all the history of Scotland, all this stuff, I think I mentioned that to him, and he was like, well, yeah. He was like, well, I mean, they're from the same mountain range originally. Like, geologically speaking, they originated at the same time. When the continents were together as Pangea, like the Appalachian Mountains and the Scottish Highlands used to be the same mountain range on Pangea millions of years ago. And so
my mind was firmly blown when he said that.
Because the Scottish, like most like hillbillies, they mostly came from like Scotland and then Ireland. The Scots, Irish people originated in Scotland, went to Ireland, then Appalachia. They stopped in Appalachia because they were like, this is just fucking like home. That's what this is, and that's so like it all kind of tracks, but it's also very cool.
Now, as we wrap things up, what did I forget to ask you guys, and how can people find you besides besides on tour?
Well, on all my socials, it's just Corey R. Forrester. But I'd also be very happy if you went to parttimefunnyman.com. That's my Substack. That's where I do some of my other writings and stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm working on some audio dramedies right now. We are smack dab in the middle of a detective series, Colonel Cornbread in the Case of the Confederate Ruby. It's a Civil War era whodunit, and it's really good. Parttimefunnyman.com. Subscribe, and I'll love you.
Okay, I'm going to go over there right now. And how about you, Trae?
For me, like I said, TraeCrowder.com, and like Corey said, all my social media stuff, it's just my name. So Trae Crowder on whatever platform you prefer. I'm on all of them, I reckon. And me and Corey have a podcast called Putting On Airs, which is about fancy people stuff. So check that out too. And then I've got 2 other podcasts, Well Read and Weekly Skews. So anyway, you can find all that just by Googling my name, basically, will do you just fine.
Yeah, if you listen to the audiobook and you really liked it, I suggest Putting On Airs. You can get a weekly dose of us talking out of our butts about stuff we don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
England.
I mean, but so you say that, but like I learned that, I listened to a whole comedy book and then I get this little tidbit of Pangea, and I'm gonna dine out on that for a little while.
Good stuff, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Okay, I can't even tell you how hilarious this book is. I highly recommend downloading it on Audible because there is no substitute for these guys, how they speak, which they acknowledge, and how they put on accents. I think you heard the Scottish waitress, but there is so much more. Also, there's just something about the way they describe things that had me in stitches throughout. I mean, there was like several minutes of a rundown on the different kinds of French fries they have in England. And I know everyone knows that they, over in England, they call, fish and chips, the chips are fries, but those are sort of more like thick cut steak fries. And they actually have these other kind of fries. And of course, the crisps, which is what we call potato chips, but they go off on that, and also British pudding. And this is something, it's just funny. It's just hysterical. I mean, every place that they go, they meet interesting people and have amusing things to say. It is also a good read because I've read parts of the book on paper, and I just have to tell you, it's a feel good listen and read. If you're somebody who wants to get a break, which I certainly did from the daily sort of depressing, news cycle or whatever's going on in your world. This is lighthearted, but it's smart, it's engaging, it's fun, and you'll just feel happy after you listen. And I'm sure you're going to agree with me that you would love to go, go on a vacation with these guys. It would be a blast. And thank you for listening. I will be back next week with another show as we continue to explore the writing process and the nonfiction world together. Please let us know what you think. I love getting your mail at bookedup@politicon.com. And it's really special when I get postcards and letters from you at P.O. Box 147, Northampton, Massachusetts, 01061. To keep up with the show and our featured authors, please follow Booked Up on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And please give us a 5-star review. It really will help other people find the podcast.